Hello and welcome back to another session of serde-yaml. It's Byron speaking. First session this morning, and yesterday yesterday we finished everything there is to finish that would prevent us from actually implementing something that deals with the actual serialization. Because right now, this code we see here is just doing JSON, because that's what it was created from, which seems simple enough, but I think the complexity will rise really soon. Something I try to pay great attention to is the presentation details, which are basically options that define how the character stream is produced. And I'm still not quite satisfied with it. In one of the last sessions, we have made sure that there are docs everywhere and that it's linked up to the respective areas in the spec, or sections or paragraphs of the spec. However, there's still some stuff missing that serde-yaml shows us to have, and that also the spec shows to have. For instance, where was that? So there's one thing here that is the canonical form. The canonical form very much looks like, let's see if we see it here somewhere. I will just go down here. Yeah, this is the canonical form of YAML, basically. And this is something you can explicitly turn on and off, even though we might not choose the term canonical here, but we might choose the term tags or something. And I still have to figure out how serde-yaml does it. And this is something we could do in this session for once. And the other thing would be the encoding, because actually this is defined. Just more for deserialization here. I read this yesterday, and also tried to read this, even though I probably have not internalized that yet. So that's we're getting into the extended Bacchanal form and this Hungarian style naming convention. Hungarian style notation. I've never heard about this. It's an identifying naming convention in computer programming in which the name of the variable function indicates its type or intended use. There are two types of Hungarian notation: systems Hungarian notation, apps Hungarian notation. The BCPL programming language. Okay, show me. It's interesting. I didn't know that this is such a general thing. Nice. Hungarian notation. Now I know. So they have made up their own here. Anyway, this is something we will definitely see later. But what I wanted to get at is this character encoding here. And I think default, considering that Rust is UTF-8 based in every which way. And YAML I think also uses UTF-8. I don't know if it gives you the default, but it says must support UTF-8 and UTF-16 character encodings. And then you can write an explicit BOM or not, and this is something I don't want to dive too deeply into, but I at least want to have the notion of it, even though I limit myself to UTF-8 for now, and this might be the first kind of limitation that we specify. Later when deserializing stuff, we also have to deal with bombs and things like that. So this is the first thing I would want to see here. So not to forget, we have to deal with tags at some point and get this canonical form going. But, at a more foundational level, I think the encoding is something we should be able to specify. So let's just do this. The encoding. Yeah, for now, I think that the encoding could also be interesting to the deserialization engine. But if it is doing that at some point, we shall just move these structures up a bit. So let's have an encoding here and start with UTF-8, right? Identifies the character encoding to use during serialization. Yeah, it kind of is clear that we are in serialization mode, and if I put serialization in here right now, I have to later be careful in case I want to use it for deserialization only. So let's not put that in there. Let's not specify it. Let's link up the spec. I'm kind of slow this morning. My fingers don't want to work the way I want them to work like. So this is that 5.2 character encodings. What? 5.2. Here we go. That's our link. So UDF-8. I don't understand this, if there is any byte 0, the first byte, if that is any ASCII character, then we have to check or see that the second byte is 0, right? Oh no, wait, in case of, no, here. It's UTF-16. I see. So UDF, yeah, right. I remember now. Recommended output is UTF-8, so that will be the default. Otherwise, an explicit byte order mark should be used. Yeah, I see. So UDF-16 without a bomb is implied by, because in UDF-16, 2 bytes are used per character in any way. And therefore, this is kind of a way to determine that. But for that to work, the first character needs to be some ASCII character. Okay, I get it now. And ASCII characters, they're in the range of 1 to 128. Not 1 to 128, but they're below 128, I think, in numerical terms, if you can say it like that. Anyway, so UDF-8. Is there anything? Maybe I want to link this up to the Wikipedia. See the wiki entry for details. Like this. I think that's sufficiently well done before I write and repeat everything that the internet knows anyway. So that's the encoding. And we also want to have a notion of byte order mark here. And I could, the byte order mark, it plays a role for all of these encodings because they all would support that or not. See this explicit bomb, except for UDF-8. UDF-8 doesn't have an explicit, does it? Oh, how did I jump up there? I just hit tab, I think. So let's go back to 5.2. Sorry for that hiccup. Anyway, the default should be UTF-8. That's something we can easily do. So let's implement it. Let's implement default for encoding. fn default. I love being able to return self. Then we say encoding. No. UDF-8. So that's officially our default encoding now, which is pretty cool. The bomb by default is none. So for UTF-8, this is really simple because it uses the how's that called again? In the moment you have a marker bit, and if the high or the low bit is set, then you know that the next byte that you read is supposed to be merged with the byte that you just read. So Git does that, and UTF-8 does that as well, which is cool because this makes ASCII a valid subset of UTF-8. Anyway, it has an explicit bomb, and each of these can have an explicit bomb. So for now, I only support UTF-8 anyway. But how do I do it? I would like to say bomb yes or no, basically. I could include the seer using a true value, or ideally a bomb structure or a bomb enum. So that way this would always be kind of combined. For deserialization, I think we have to detect it anyway, right? Unless the user should be able to specify a hint for that. But even for that, we might, yeah, we will look at this once it's time. However, I wonder, should I have something like a bomb in here? Or should I have a structure that combines the encoding with a bomb? Encoding info or something. Yeah, previously I've chosen the path of nesting enumerations, or nesting variants here, or nesting types basically, to get the data I need. And maybe I do the same here, even though there would be some sort of somewhat repetitive. Yeah, let's call it byte order mark. Yeah, I kind of like it. Pub enum, byte order mark. Yes, no. We want to use a byte order mark, and we don't want to use a byte order mark like that. So that is a bit odd, huh? I could also have a new type. Yeah, I could have something like this. Look at that. It's a struct byte order mark, which is just a marker. A marker to identify whether or not a byte order mark should be used. So I can have it like this, and then I can encode whether or not I want a byte order mark using an optional. Look at that. And no, I don't want to have a byte order mark. And otherwise you would say some byte order mark. That would totally work. So yeah, it's more descriptive, obviously, in the yes case or in the some case than it is in the none case. However, the type is clear, and I think I kind of like this. So let's identify it, or let's tell about it. We will write the byte order mark. Wait, the byte order mark, it can also be per document. Let's read up on this. Byte order mark. Look at that, there's no dashes here. Because that's supposed to be to allow JSON, byte order marks also allowed inside quoted scalars. I don't know. Should be escaped to make it easier. Concatenate streams. Byte order marks may appear at the start of any document. So that's interesting. When we encode stuff, I think we want to have it. Yeah, I don't know. I think we will, to support streaming, only write the byte order mark once, I guess. I don't know. However, all documents in the same stream must use the same character encoding. So in a way, we must be able to deserialize that properly and handle these properly. Oh man. So the byte order mark is something to keep in mind, but when serializing, should be by default serialize a byte order mark at the beginning of each document, if we should do that, or should be just do it at the beginning of the stream. of the entire stream. So that's kind of, we'll write a bomb at the beginning of, you know, now we could say, well, byte automark, and we could have an enum that says byte automark first per stream or per document, you know, or none at all. So this could then actually be an enum that says per stream and per document. We emit a bomb exactly once, even in a multi-document stream. We emit the, let's call it the bomb. Once per document. So that, I think that is more identifying more what we want. So then we have none here, or byte automark per stream per document. I think that reads very well once it's used like that. Yeah, I like that. So now we have everything we need and can just have another field here that says identifies the documents, the output encoding. encoding. That is that. So let's put it in. And yeah, the cool thing is we can just say default, which we just implemented. And in JSON mode, we do the same thing. So that should be that. So now we have an encoding. Let's see if that compiles. Make test. Yeah, struct is never used. That is totally true. Nice. Okay, cool. That's that. So now let's have a look at the additional options here that we don't yet implement. So canonical, I don't know. Tags. Tags is something I would want to see there. So for example, if you look at the serde data, we have our own data structure that should help us to kind of get started with a very basic data structure, which we want to output like JSON and like YAML, like human readable YAML. But I would also like to output it in a canonical form. So here we go. JSON dump. Oh, interesting. Why do you use dump s here? And dump there, which seems to have the same effect. Interesting. Anyway, indent to. And why is this? Why is dump s all of a sudden JSON style? That is totally weird. Ah, because it's JSON dump s. I'm dumb. Okay, that is why that is different. So I think what you want to do here is say canonical is true, and then we might get something along these lines. We can also say, yeah, make tests serde data. Like this. And yeah, that's exactly what I mean. So canonical is this. What happens if we do something with tags here? What's this tags thing doing? I think all the other things I kind of know, except for line break. Line break I also don't know. There's also something we might have to add to our presentation details, and then finally we should be complete. But hey, who knows? So line break is not further documented. Why would it be? Tags. Nope. Yeah. FU. I must say, this is really bad. I mean, it's not the first time something is not documented here, but it's the first time today that I find something that is not documented, because actually most of these fields are not documented. I don't know what they were thinking. Maybe it's documented elsewhere, you know, maybe it's documented in code or something. I'll happily be looking at that, but yeah. So what? So tags. Let's set tags to true. I will just try it out then. So what is if tags is false? So canonical seems to override all of this. What happens now? Okay, that seems standard. If I say tags true, do I see tags then? Oh. Object bool has no attribute key, so it wants to have a mapping. Okay. I don't know what it wants to map. That's not documented. So is it like the type and then the tag name or something? Okay. So it wants to have another. Wait, the first one was key, so the it uses it. It uses this value as dictionary, and then it seems to use the keys as. It wants to have get item. Get item is also a dict thing. So it's here. Oh no, that's within a zip file, damn it. Yeah, I could use my system installation to track that down. But it appears, yeah, is there some other documentation? Yeah, it appears to be some sort of mapping, I guess. So canonical. Yeah, I think the canonical version is something I want. I just don't want to call it canonical yet, because I think canonical is more like show all tags or something. So what would this be? So that's a map. So canonical. Yeah, let's check the default flow type as well. Because JSON is JSON, right? But am I able to produce JSON-like output with that one as well? I think I wasn't, because the default flow style, if this is true, then I get some YAML. Oh, see? So I think now I want to set the line break. Yeah, so that's cool. I was lazy here and used JSON directly to produce a JSON document. But I think if I say line break is, well, I don't know, true. It worked. Okay. Line break is maybe a string. Oops. Yeah, no effect. Maybe it's documented. Haha. What the heck, man? Heck, man. There we go. No effect here. Oh, I'm not doing it right. Am I executing this? I am. Yeah, so that's something I don't get. This should totally be possible to make it. Even if there were new lines, you have plain key style here, which isn't valid YAML. And also that is not valid YAML. So the quotedness, we can control that, by the way. We can also control the quotedness of the strings here. We cannot control line breaks right now. And apparently this guy also doesn't do it. Huh. What's the version doing? Yeah. Why would you tell me? Okay, so that's also not documented. Good, so here we don't get anywhere. I think what I can say is that I want to have a canonical version of this so that I can verify that I am able to configure my serializer to produce such a canonical version like that. So how would that be? If we show tags, I think it's implied. Actually, that's something I do not know. Is it implied? Yeah, I'd like to have a little tool that allows me to check if certain things are valid or not. So, is this valid YAML? And I checked for a command line tool already, but I didn't find one. Maybe I didn't search for the right thing. Online YAML parser. Yeah, that shall suffice. Okay, so that converts it to JSON output, JSON Python. Canonical YAML. Yeah, cool. I think that's okay. So I can basically use this to dump my stuff here and see if I can say this is str. Oh, look, that does work. So we can enable tags without forcing the canonical form. And I think canonical is therefore the term we are looking for. Let's go up here. Canonical form. Which provides a mechanism for comparing for equality. That's what I read so far. Because their types are explicitly stated in form of tags. This is a short form here. Yeah, for user inequality testing, blah, blah. So, how does that work? How do I want to specify this? So I think I want to be able to say, well, tags for keys, tags for values, or for scalars. And so that obviously works. Does that work as well? No. Because this is a document local. Oh, sorry. Excuse me, that's a document local tag. So that isn't resolved isn't resolvable because we do not have any relation here. But this is kind of the short form for use the global namespace, the standard YAML, whatever namespace. So we can do this. So that's obviously a string now. And we can make the 0 here for i32 into a string by saying, well, it's a string. Where is it? Here. So that's pretty cool. We can also make it a float, right? Yeah. So that works. So that's something I guess I want, because we can have then tags for each of these or for both of them. So that's one step closer to the canonical form. And we can enforce it for sequences. Like here, we can have it like that. Oh, look. It actually doesn't like that. Expected mapping node, but found sequence. Ah. So, how's this called? Sequence? Yeah, it's called sequence. And I can actually... Can I do this? Oh yeah, true. it apparently doesn't, while parsing flow mapping, expected comma, but got that. Oh. Interesting, so in block mode this works, but not in flow mode. But flow mode would be just that, I thought. Huh. Can I, okay, so that doesn't work, fine. Can I do this? I can. So that's just the mode basically of the scalar. It can be double quoted, single quoted, or plain. So right now it's plain, obviously. All right. So my question was, could I mean, sure, I can put, basically the question is this, but that obviously works. And I could put key value here, and that would also work. Totally. And if can I just use new lines here now? Apparently I can. So now white space doesn't matter for that portion. That's cool. But I cannot keep going with, can I now, in this flow mode, can I now add a block mode map? That looks kind of block mode, does it? Equals value, foo, bar, value. Okay. So that does not work. Because that's what I was thinking. Actually, I also noted it down in the documentation. In the moment you are in flow mode for a map, you cannot have non-flow mode items in there, not non-flow mode mappings at least. Foo bar, so see again, non-flow mode. But I could have 1, 2 here, right? Uh-huh. So it was only missing a comma because I'm in flow mode. Now I get it. Okay, so again, can I now have a map, a list here in block mode? No. Expected a node comment but found dash. Okay. But I could make it a string, right? Nope. Also very interesting. Yeah. So flow mode enforces flow mode for everything. I think this is what I learn here, right? Yeah, we tried it with the list already. We can put another mapping here. 1, 2. See, that also works. Oops. Bar. Blah. So now it's missing a comma here. And it's nice. It also tells you, huh? That's a good one. I want to be as good, at least. Expected comma or that, but found that. Yeah, maybe they have a parser generator as well for this, but I'm probably going to hand implement that one due to a lack of understanding of parser generators. Yeah, and it's probably gonna be a good learning experience anyway. The most complex lexer / parser I've ever done, but hey, we are not even there yet. We're still trying to figure out the spec and how it behaves in the real world. Okay, good. So long story short, we want to have another enum that defines how tags are handled. And yeah, we can we can put it in front of mappings. And what happens if we put it in front of mappings? Then we are kind of enforcing. Let's look at this, and we are kind of enforcing flow mode, huh? That's interesting. Because otherwise it doesn't work with YAML, I think. Or does it? No, how would it? Well, answer, how would it? Here, for instance, yeah, here I am in flow mode already, because this mapping forced me to. But what if I have key value? Okay, look, that works. That actually works. So no, that doesn't force anything into flow mode. Good. Huh. So how do I want to have it? How controllable should this be? So we can have it for sequences, optionally. We can have it for mappings, optionally. We can have it for keys and values. And putting this into an anon that has all the combinations is nonsense. So this would make our configuration a bit more complex here. Sequence style, mapping style, scalar key style, and then we have big and yeah, in a way we could start to group these into substructures. And then we could say, well, for the mapping style, we could say enforce tags, yes or no, or something, you know. And this is something we could have for scalar keys, and here we have it for values. Unfortunately, we have this. Well, unfortunately, we have the split among small and big scalar values, just to be able to have different ways of writing this. So this means that we would probably, need one structure for each of them, or we just have, I don't know. You would have like 1, 2, at least 4 additional fields just for the tags to identify whether or not we want to enforce the tag. Right? Oops. Like that. Yes, no. So here we have this thing again. We could use an optional. We could use a Boolean. The thing is, I want my structures to be kind of descriptive, which would work with the structure. So if I had like a structure that says pub structure details, then I could have the style being a structure style, and I could have force tags being a Boolean, and this can easily be created without losing any of its information. So something like that we would then probably need for the scalar style as well. Scalar details, pubs, struct, scalar details. Pub style is scalar style. Pub force tags being a bool. So this is now something we can use for the keys and for the key scalars as well as for the value scalars, which would in total allow us to have fine-grained control over how this is supposed to look like. I'm not sure. Well, I think considering this is valid YAML, I'm always thinking that the serializer should be able to output all forms of valid YAML, right? If I can write it, by hand, the serializer should be able to write it as well, or I at least see no point in preventing that from the get-go. Yeah. So combines all information necessary to serialize a structure like mappings and sequences like that. And this will be, the structure style is folding or block, right? Yeah. So I think that's kind of self-explanatory, especially if you click this link that Rustdoc will generate. I don't like to have how's that term called? Ah, damn it. Not ambiguous, but obvious, kind of, if you repeat yourself by stating the obvious here in a comment, then you better leave out the comment. Force text, this is something we want to document though. If true, a tag will be serialized, and let's call it explicit tag. I think that's nicer. A tag will be serialized even though an implicit one would do as well. Yeah. So this means we could also have another constructor at some point that produces canonical output, which then sets all the options accordingly. So let's plan for this. Combines all information necessary to serialize a scalar, like keys or values, like this. Okay, so at least about the, yeah, let's call it sequence details then. And this is mapping details, which should be structure details. Where's that music coming from? That's funny. Anyway, here we go. Let's set it up. So it's structure details. And then the style should be structure style block. And the explicit tag is false. False. So that looks good. Quite self-explanatory, I think. And here we go with the same thing. Yep. Good. Now, here we want to have flow style, but no explicit text either. Like this. Document indicator style, encoding. Yeah, so that is that. Now we would do that for the scalar keys as well. So let's adjust it. For the keys, it's simple. Scalar key details. defines the style for sequences. Let's call it details then. Are serialized. Scalar key details. Scalar details. No. Yeah, I'm a bit off here. I can't write anything, it appears. Sometimes. And I seem to have trouble if everything is on the left hand, you know, and like scalar details, then I get totally confused. Anyway, here we go with the scalar key details, and want to have a scalar details. Oh, come on. I try that again. Scalar details. Yeah, I think it's also the shift operation, because I have the tendency to use the left shift only, but here is really screams for the right shift. Scalar details. Okay, so maybe I can write that now. So that's the style, which shall be this. And explicit tag false. So that is that, I think. Scalar details. So by default it uses flow and plane. Makes sense. Oops. And here we do the same. Flow and double quote. Oops. Like that. Cool. Here we go. That should compile. And I'm not looking at these right now because they're kind of, well, I just have to put in the structure, right? The scalar details, and then we have this, we can control it for small and big ones. And I do consider to remove that separation, but on the other hand, I feel that I will get much better YAML if I'm able to specify this. Right, and it's only for strings anyway. But even strings, you know, if it's a small string, I want plain style and not some unnecessary folded style or literal style. It just doesn't make sense because that's a new line for everything there is, and I wouldn't want that. It's really just like that. I don't like the complexity that's added here and the asymmetry compared to keys and values, but on the other hand, that's just how it is. Damn it. So that's the scalar details. And I shall first try to compile, that's what I said. No! 445. There's a comma missing. So far so good. We're not using this canonical form yet. We might just, yeah. Let's finish. We will add this soon. Let's put the cursor here so that we don't forget about that. Because we shall have presentation details canonical or something. Because it's so kind of common, I think I would want to have that actually. So now the scalar stuff. Scalar details. Scalar details. And we shall call this now details. Same here. Okay, and now it's all about setting this up. So that's flow plain, flow literal. Let's be a little bit lazy and just copy this here. Then we can quickly grab this and put it here, just in a stupid way. Stupid in the sense of repetitive, non-thinking. You just do what you do and definitely get it right. That's the idea, at least. So unfortunately we have to repeat this here. But yeah, well, that's how it is. Bada boom. Bada boom. Copy that again. Maybe I should do the pasting in one go, but hey, now it's too late. There we go. Oh yeah, it's double quote for both, makes sense. So that's the details, explicit. So now we can also have, well, let's first try to compile that. Now we can have canonical style here. Pub fn canonical. Damn it. Canonical. I'm practicing writing sometimes. Presentation details. Because Sublime Text kind of really helps you so much with the autocompletion that you stop even trying to properly type stuff. That's how it goes for me. But sometimes the autocompletion then fails, and then you have to realize what kind of nasty stuff you wrote there. And yeah, that's just how that is. So where do I want to start? I think I would want to start here, maybe. Presentation details. Produces details that serialize that style a YAML document into a canonical form that is a form which makes all types explicit, easing comparison. Yeah, this might also affect the way we print our types here, because I think in canonical form you use flow types, double quoted stuff, and so on. But we shall have a look here, because that's basically how that looks like. So yeah. Yeah. So what we see, oh, it even prints a header. Interesting. True. And this is the only, there are two global options that are supported. It's YAML and it's tag. And I've seen this somewhere. Where have I seen this? That might be the... can this be case sensitive, maybe? Apparently not. Nope. Not here, I've seen it. Is it header or something? Is it called? Oh, directive. Here it is. It's a directive. Each document may be associated with a set of directives. Voila. Instructions to the YAML processor. The specification defines two directives, YAML and tag, and reserves all other directives for future use. There's no way to define private directives. This is intentional. Directives are presentation details, must not be used to convey content information. Yeah. Okay, so we want to be able to produce something like this, even though apparently the Python version doesn't do that either, but it uses at least the start of document markings. Anyway, let's start with what we have. Spaces per level 2, yes. Small scalar. Double quotes. Double quote. Explicit tag. True. True. All explicit tags, please. True. True. Now we keep going here. So the scalar keys is double quote. This is flow style for sequences and flow style for maps. And the line break is really important. Because the line break, you know, we can have a concise form and a non-concise form. For instance, this is totally valid here, I think, huh? Let's look it up. No, I didn't mean that. What was it? 100%, huh? Yeah. So this should work just fine. We should be able to specify YAML 1.2, 1.3. Oh, look. Doesn't care. What about YAML 2? Incompatible YAML document. Interesting. 1.5, 6. I think everything in the one realm is valid for him. I see. So yes. What did I want to test? Yeah, I think in the moment, I think that's the point. In the moment, yeah. In the moment you use explicit tags for keys, then you will always have, yeah. Huh. For keys, then you will always need this explicit form here, which also allows you to have complex key types. Yeah, that is that. Now I do understand slowly. Because otherwise you couldn't prepend this, or could you? So what if we have, that's a string foo be value. Oh look, that does work actually. String bar is also value. Okay, so that does work. So that doesn't trigger anything. Good. So we need a way to enforce the alternative type for specifying keys or specifying mappings basically. And in the moment we have a list here. Okay, that doesn't work. Sure, we started with a map. List shall be, whoop. And here I can do the same thing, right? Yeah, float 5. That is that. Yeah, good. Anyway, so that's double quotes, that's flow. Document indicator style, start. So that's what I see from here, right? Yeah, only the start is marked. And we also, in canonical mode, we also emit the directive, the version, even though the PyYAML doesn't seem to, or does it? Does it use it? Did I want to try that at least? Version is true. Oh man, what's an iterable here? What's going on? That would be iterable. Too many values to unpack. See? What's the format that you expect here? Document that stuff, man. Oh yeah, I tried that already. There is no such thing. Prepare version. Oh. Import YAML. So let's have a look at this stuff here. Emitter. Prepare version. Major, minor. All right, fine. Why didn't you write that? So now maybe it outputs this YAML directive as well. It does. Good. Yeah, so that directives, I could support an iterable of directives that are just strings, right? I could do that. Or I hard code it to say, well, version directive, true, false. If true, then the directive will be printed as well. Yeah, and also another question is, if I have the version directive, do I need the start of document marker then? YAML 1.2. Ah, see, it needs a start of document marker then. Interesting. So in a way, now we could add or create options that kind of are dependent on each other, which so far we managed to avoid or make so that the dependencies are expressed in the type hierarchy that we have. So I believe we can't create options that make no sense, but now, considering that YAML, the YAML version or the YAML directive requires requires a document style indicator start, at least. Now we have to combine this kind of, and I wonder how this looks like. So if I have another document here, foo equals foo is bar. Oh look, it only takes the first document as well. So if I have another document, yeah, sure. How would I do this? I can't have another directive. YAML 1.2. I can? Are you telling me I can? Yeah. Canonical YAML does that. It also discards my second document here. YAML verifier. YAMLlint.com. Okay, let's see if you can do it, huh? Okay, so it doesn't actually like that. Clicking go is annoying. So the Ruby implementation seems to be underneath. What if I disable? Ah yeah, so this is just basically just a website that gives you a space for advertisement. So valid YAML, fine. Oh, did it just replace my YAML that I pasted there? What the F, man? Yeah. Okay, so it wants that exactly once at the start of the stream. And then it needs a start of document indicator. How do I encode this? I could say, well, if we have a start of document indicator, or start and end, then we can. What about having header details? And gating it behind a constructor that checks for validity. We could do that, but I don't like it. Adds so much complexity considering there's such a simple dependency here. Yeah, so technically we could Document indicator style and optional. So basically what we want to say is, if you want to have the YAML tag, then you will require the start or start end document indicator style. So I could combine this. That's what I'm seeing here. YAML version. For now, I only support the YAML version. YAML version directive. Could be an optional. Like this. If the start of document marker is used, the YAML version directive may be specified. Same here. So yeah, now we would use that. Where's the document? Do we actually use this right now? I don't think so. It's always none, huh? Oh no, wait. Here it's start, sure. Here it's start, and now we want to have some YAML version directive. I think I like this. It looks good. So that allows us to produce this basically the same way we do it here, even though they allow to specify the version explicitly, we don't. We just hard code this. A marker to signal that the YAML directive should be produced at the beginning of the document of the stream. Yeah. So let's link stuff, shall we? Directives 6.8. Yeah, so that goes to the YAML spec right here. YAML directive. Whew, that is that. Is there anything else I'm missing? No. So now, of course, we want to use this based on the JSON one. Sir canonical. Data one default to string with options. Canonical. Exactly. And that should be canonical. Yes. So that should work. Make test. So type block scalar style does not implement any method in scope named double quote. Oh, that's true. We need a flows. Where is that? Probably just in one location, huh? Cargo build shall yield better results. 532. Yeah, it's flow scalar style. Flow scalar style. How did that happen? So we are canonical, right? So the big ones, whatever small ones, should be using flow scalar style and double quotes. Yeah, so that kind of went wrong here, apparently. The good thing is the type checker or the compiler would have told us that this is wrong. Oh, it's 1 hour, 10 minutes in already. Phew. Document. Oh yeah, it wants to have an optional there. Some document indicator style start with some YAML version directive. What do you say now? Looks good. Takes 2 parameters, but 1 parameter was supplied. Style. Scalar style. Flow. 532. Oh yeah, true. In flow mode, you have to tell it if it should break into multi-lines after a certain width. But we don't do that. So, do you work? So, I think we would be able to specify to get a canonical version out of there, but we have to kind of tell it that we want to have this alternative key value form. So how do we get this? How is this called? That could be part of the structure details for the mappings, which could force us into having an additional or a different type for that one. So characters, basic structures, line prefixes, comments, directives. Oh, the YAML directives. Look, there is a direct one here that I actually want to link to. If I find it. Document. Here it is. Boom. Yeah, that's the actual one. But going back, where do we find information about the style? Yeah, maybe it's part of the block mapping. Is this a flow mapping or not? So that's block mapping, yes. Ah, explicit block mapping entries. So how do I read this? Explicit key, empty value, or a block key that has a complex scalar value, and then one explicit compact or 2 block values. Yeah, so that's space, I suppose. Yeah, so that's 817. And that's part of the block mapping style. Explicit block mapping entries. Yeah. Compact block mappings. Huh. Is there a difference between compact and explicit? Compact notation may be nested inside block sequences and explicit block mapping entries. Note that it is not possible to specify node properties for such a nested mapping. I see. Yeah, so oh yeah, now I get it, but this is different. What do we see, by the way, if we put this into our online YAML parser? Yeah, let's take these ones away. Oh look, it can't do it. Okay, so this it can do, but it doesn't understand. Interesting. Doesn't understand this explicit form. Key value. It does, but it doesn't do it. It does do it here. Why did it not work in the other case? No. Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out how I should name this. And I'm 1 hour 15 minutes in, but now it's too late anyway, so I can as well go on, I think. So how do I do this? So that's just a compact. That's a compact block mapping, but this is something we might not want to control when it comes to output. Because after all, it's just a list of dicts with exactly one key value pair, right? And is this useful for us? You can also do it like that. And does that work? Yes, that also works. That doesn't work. Okay, so that does work as expected, but can I have other keys? I can. So that's that's definitely a short form. Can I now say this key is value? Oh yeah, now the keys are not unique anymore. Yeah, so also that works as well. Okay. So, long story short, in order to get this canonical thing working, I need to be able to say that yeah, basically I only need to be able to say that I want to have explicit block mapping entries. Yeah. So for explicit block mapping entries, that I think that would be part of the mapping details. So now I guess we can split this up and say, well, sequence details shall be sequence details or structure details in general, and then we have mapping structure. And we just compose them or aggregate them. Mapping details, which take structure details, which are structure details, and whether or not we want to have explicit block mapping entries. So this doesn't make any difference to the sequences, right? No. Because in theory we have this structure style and we have block here. So we could obviously put this into some sort of hierarchy again, but the structure style is used for both sequences and mapping, so therefore we can't really combine this without specializing it too much. So yeah, I guess that's the way to go. Explicit block mapping entries. Use an explicit form to signal keys and values in a mapping to describe. It is also used if the key is a complex one. Is if the mapping key is a non-scalar one. Let's try that. Let's put this to the test. It should still compile after all. So if I have a complex key, let's put this to the end. That should automatically give me give me a explicit mapping entry. Because we are in a mapping detail, it's kind of clear what this is. So let's have a data structure that has, can I have complex mapping here? Yes, 1, 2 is 3. So that's a complex mapping already. We just dump it. I don't know what kind of options that is, but we will see. And that's complex mapping entry. No. Explicit mapping entry. And what happens if in the same moment we have a simple one? Simple. That will be interesting. No. It did something. Oh, tuple. Oh, true. I should make it a list because then this will have a natural mapping. Oh, damn it. Now we have the problem again that the lists don't actually work within a dictionary because it can be mutated. So, yeah, I had this kind of issue before. But generally, I mean, besides the fact that obviously this gets more complex because of the explicit type annotation, this works. And this can be combined freely. So do I have another way to have a complex thing in there that is not a tuple, but still complex? Not really. Not within the natural type system of YAML. Damn it, you. Hatred. Yeah, keys are naturally owned by hash maps in Rust, so there's no such issue because you cannot get a mutable key out of there again. So whether or not this stuff is mutable by default is, it's part of the language anyway in Rust. But in Python, it can't be. And that's a problem I run in now. So in theory, if this would be a list, then it would look like that. All right. So yeah, I can theoretically use the ops pretty here. And it should still look decent. Then I can just modify it, take it out basically, and use it directly. Just will put the Python tuple type into the YAML. So we have to use this manually. S is this beautiful string. Simple 4, 1, 2, 3. And we put S in there. Good. So now we should just get what we want. Voila. And we have a way to test for this. So now let's use this, shall we? Mapping details. So that is now a custom structure, mapping details. Mapping details. How do I call it? Structure details, huh? Yeah. Let's call it just details, because it's kind of part of the type anyway. Details, structure. Details are structure details. Yeah, let's do it like this. Details are structure details. Then we come in with the structure details. And then we have the explicit block entries. For default, false. Yeah, let's mention this and also link it up, right? and also add the documentation and stuff. So YAML spec, no, don't have it anymore. .8.17. Yeah, that's apparently the best link I get. Fine. Maybe not. Maybe I can inspect this and find something. ID 279857. So does it mean that this is the ID that I can jump to? Even though it's not linked up? Yes, this is what it means. Nice. So apparently these IDs have been auto-generated, otherwise this would be nicer, but still it's fine. It also used if a mapping key is a non-scalar one. So that was also something that triggered the testing, right? I nearly forgot about that. So this is why we put this one in the first place. Cool. Mapping details. Hence all information to describe how to serialize mappings in YAML. Using explicit form to describe keys and values in a mapping for all keys and values. If true, for all keys and values. If false, it will only be used if the mapping key is a non-scalar one. Yeah. So that's pretty cool that this can be shown. I don't know. So if you put this in, I don't know if JSON can do that. So if you put that thing into a little online verifier, what happens? Aha. I think they took out the special form here because this cannot be represented by JSON, huh? No, they can't parse it. Why can they not parse it? Unacceptable key. I get it now. This is actually yeah, this is actually Python running here, right? And because Python can't do this in a mapping because the list is not hashable for him, this doesn't work. So you want to have this Python tuple thing. I don't know, how did that look like? Or maybe like this. Huh? No, not good. Let's try to serialize the data once more. YAML dump data, and then ops pretty. Let's try it. Make test ser data. Good. Python tuple. Look, I did exactly like that. But it didn't like it either. Could not determine a constructor for Python tuple for tag yaml.org. Look, it's weird. So maybe it uses Ruby after all. But on the other hand, if they convert to Python, maybe Python is what they use anyway. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, so that doesn't work for him. Would have been interesting to convert that to JSON, because I think it doesn't work because JSON can't do it. All right. So structure details, self-explanatory. That is also documented now. Mapping details. So we have set this up just once here. Mapping details. Details is this. Move everything to the right like that. Now explicit block entries false. And one more time. Mapping details. Explicit block entries true. This time. This is what we did it for, after all. All this work. Just for this one occasion where we want to have canonical output. I just want to see, I thought I had missed a comma here. Alright, so that could possibly compile. Let's see if it does, and then we want to put in the test as well. Let's see. Oops. Cargo build. 562. That didn't look too good. Yeah, details. Same here maybe? No, here I got it. Cargo build, does it work? It does. Make test. Should also work so far. And yeah, now I think it's time again to have some sort of, or to get the structure going. The problem is, oh yeah, actually we don't want that. Sorry, no. Disable. We want it to look like this. Yeah, we can keep it like that. Doesn't matter, we don't use it. The point is, how do we get a structure that does exactly that? Because this would be a mapping with different key types. The key type is very different here. And also, I don't know how mapping with a complex key works in JSON. Right now, the JSON key, yeah, I don't know. I think this works in JSON. I tried it once, even though that generates invalid JSON. Totally invalid JSON. But for YAML, this might actually work. But this also means that we have to kind of peek data. You know, it will be difficult to do that because we just get callbacks and we kind of have to stash these callbacks or indeed build a intermediate structure as YAML advises to do anyway. So yeah, it's gonna be quite tough, I think, to get that right. Oh man, even the serialization will be difficult. Oh man. So let's redo this. It looks better. Can I do this? No, I can't. I just have to remove the simple value here and then I'm good. Just want to see if this can be combined, and answer is yes, it can be. Yeah. So yeah, I could use a YAML value to do this, right? But I don't have that yet. So yeah, let's take it out. Then this will just look like that. Cool. And this should be as easy as explicit block entries. which are required due to a complex key. Required due to complex key. So our data shall be a, how do I do it? Yeah, just like new, I think, and then, data push. Oh no, sorry, hash map new. And then we go with insert. This should be 1 usize, 2. Well, let's not use usize, let's use u32. Yeah, type inference couldn't work here because it could be a different type, theoretically. And here we have a 3u32, and that is that. That's our hash map, right? And this should now trigger a complex key. And this is called explicit block mapping entry. Like that. Should work automatically. Expected one of, yeah, maybe we put a semicolon here, so that should work. No. One more time. Failed to resolve. Use a unclear type hash map? Really? What? Oh. True. Yeah, I think I can close this one. Let's get the hash map going. And now it might compile. No. Ah, of course. Yeah, I've been doing too much Python recently, even though it was just a simple script. 1 hour 40 minutes, that's like 2 sessions here. Explicit block entries also fails, that's good. What comes out of there, just from my own curiosity? Explicit block entries, where are you? Too much. Maybe down here. Or this order here, is it useful? Maybe it is. Yeah, it is, I think, the same order that you see up here. Here it is. So that's the kind of weird JSON that we get. We have a key which indeed looks like a map, which probably doesn't parse at all. Let's have a JSON verifier, shall we? Just for my own info, maybe that works. So, what do you say? JSON verifier. Yeah, I thought so. That just doesn't work. Good. But this must work in future, right? So, yeah, cool. We have a test for this. And now back to the canonical version, to the canonical test here. Can we finally, with the options that we have, make this work? I think we can. Because if we use flow style mappings, we should automatically get this kind of thing. The only question left is line breaks. How do we specify line breaks here? And how is this currently handled? And what's expected of us? Because theoretically, we can have line breaks. Theoretically, I mean, in the moment PyYAML produces the default flow style here. Where is it? Yeah, that's JSON here. But if we say default flow style, you'll get something like it, but it will all be on one line. And the line break stuff is something we would want to control here. So PyYAML line break. Dump options, things and thoughts. Well. Huh. Bugs in the YAML specification. Interesting. Invalid comma. Oh. Maybe that's also something to look at while staring at the spec, which apparently hasn't been updated in a long time. So, is this still in there? No. Okay, they've kind of fixed it. Good. Anyway. How can I find this? PyYAML. Default. Flow style. Line break. Dump consistently. Huh. True, false, and none. Yeah. So by the way, what happens if you have a list with 1, 2, and then another list? Foo. Oh look, that totally works. Bar. Nice. Even though we could also use the flow style here. And that's also kind of an interesting thing. Should we have some automation in there? Should we, you know, what would be intended, or would that be better? Foo bar, would that be better? Or that? Yeah, this is something I don't want to think about right now. But that could look good, I think, as well. Yeah, so I don't know how line break is supposed to work. It's only relevant in flow style because block style requires indentation and therefore line breaks. So let's look at the flow style again for the structures. Structure, scalar style, block scalar style. That's a scalar style. Oops. Structure style block. So here, one could possibly have some sort of line break mode. So we could say, well, after a sequence open, have a line break. After comma, have a line break. Stuff like that, yeah. I don't know. Maybe I just add this later. Let's finish this up. We have all the tests we need. So let's put it in. Does it work, by the way? Make test. I mean, to the point where it compiles at least. Yeah. So basically canonical presentation details. Feat sir canonical presentation. Added presentation details to allow for the canonical presentation mode, which now has a custom constructor to ease generating the correct combination of options. Yeah, I think our initial question about how we would deal with, Yeah, I think the only last question we have is line breaks. Edit tests for it, as well as for the explicit mapping entry, which allows for complex keys and is also part of the requirements for canonical presentation. That is that. Oh, come on. The only question left is how to specify new lines. So I think new lines currently are dealt with using the trait here. So it says open and gives you a character, and then you can say, well, after this character, after comma, whatever, you want to have a new line with the respective indentation. So that's how that currently works. And it's just a question on how that should be put into the presentation details and how that interacts with each other. So for now, I think I leave it hard-coded, but once I'm added and have an understanding of how the serializer and the formatter interact with each other and how the options work there, I think then I will add this kind of stuff. Only question is left how to specify new lines and who takes care of it accordingly. That is that. Skip CI. Thank you very much. And yeah, that finally should conclude, well, I don't have to push this, should conclude this session. Thanks for watching and have a good day.